right. Hi, everyone, to the Q3 updates webinar at VIKTOR. My name is Thomas. I'm a developer advocate. This is my colleague Stijn, the CPO at VIKTOR. And today it's going to be all about VIKTOR. So we are in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we're actually wondering where everyone else is from and what your favorite software is. Sorry, Stijn. So Stijn, can you please tell us about VIKTOR?
Yeah, of course. VIKTOR is a software platform, and I think a lot of the people here already know what VIKTOR is. But I think it's always nice also for the people who are new that we give just a very brief introduction of our platform. So the main goal, of course, of today is to show you what we have been working on the last quarter. We have been doing really, what we think really exciting stuff. So we will do a lot of live demoing of the stuff we have developed. But first, let's start with a general introduction. So this is our slogan: automate the boring, engineer the awesome. This is really what we stand for. We believe that we have a lot of people. We're really focused on engineers. A lot of people also in our company have an engineering background, and we really believe that with our platform we can make the lives of engineers a lot better, nicer, and that you can do your job better. So today the platform highlights. So first, to start with very shortly, what is VIKTOR? So VIKTOR is a platform with which we empower engineers to build and share user-friendly web apps. And there are a few things which are really important for that. And first of all is that how you can create a web app on our platform. Usually when you would create a web app from scratch, you need a whole development team, all kinds of front-end, back-end, ops knowledge to do it. And with our platform, we made it a lot simpler. So it's really about being able that as an engineer, you're of course not a full stack software developer, but what we do often see is that a lot of engineers are proficient in Python. And with Python, or even we also offer quite some no-code possibilities more and more, which I will also show later, that you can create a web app purely based on that. And then we have all kinds of building blocks with which you can do that easily and as fast as possible. That's the whole thing, how we develop this, that you can really quickly build really powerful apps for engineering. So another very important aspect is what you typically see in the workflows of engineers is, of course, that a lot of software is being used. For example, to give an example, if you are a structural engineer, you probably use some kind of finite element package to do some calculations. If you are a BIM modeler or a CAD modeler, you use, of course, also all kinds of modeling packages like maybe Revit or Rhino, or maybe you use Grasshopper to do some automation. And what we believe in is that this should not be replaced by something that we develop, but we think it's just really important that you can really easily integrate this when you automate such a process. So because of that, we offer all kinds of integrations so that you can easily integrate with the package that you are used to working in, but you can do it in a way more automated way. Next to that, on the bottom side, what you also see is that, of course, within Python, there's a really rich ecosystem with all kinds of packages. And that's also what we fully support. We just fully support the whole Python ecosystem. And then the last thing, so once you have created this app, you made these nice integrations, a very important thing is, of course, that you can share it. What we often see is that engineers make a cool thing, maybe a Python script. However, they are the only ones who can use it. Well, we think what's super important is that you can really easily share it and that your colleagues can actually use these apps. So an important part of our platform is an environment in which you can deploy these apps, give access to people, and do this whole in a secure way so that only the people who need access to that data or to those applications can get access. Yeah, and what you see is that there's quite a broad range of apps that are being developed on VIKTOR. So it starts, you can start really simple. We already have, let's say, out-of-the-box apps available. You can also make very simple apps, let's say a bit replacements for Excel sheets, for example. And that's what you can do quickly and easily. And then what we offer is that you can make more advanced and complex apps also on our platform. And that's often also a bit of a learning journey. Let's say when you start with automating, you start with simple tools, and then you can make them more complex and more advanced. And to show a bit what is possible, we have just this nice example, this nice use case. This is a use case that's been developed by Vinci, so that's a French contractor. So you will also see some French in the interface. So that's also what we support, multiple languages. And what you can see over here is this is an app to design a foundation. So you see it's quite a relatively simple structure, but you can see here that the whole workflow is automated in one single application. So you can have all the input parameters for both your geotechnical, structural analysis. As you can also see, all these drawings are automatically generated. The reports are automatically generated based on all the input. And because of that, you can see that this normally they would take weeks to design such a structure, and they were able to bring it back to literally minutes is maybe a bit exaggerated, but it's under an hour they can now design such a structure. And here you really see the power of a platform, that you can make an app in which you can really connect all these different calculations. And I think the thing that we are most proud of this case is that this app is actually developed by an engineer. So this is a structural engineer who developed this app in this case, and he actually didn't have any or almost no knowledge about Python when he started, but he was able to develop this app based on all the building blocks that we provide. All right, so that was sort of the general introduction. I don't know if there are already any questions. We see that there's someone from South Africa.
Yes, Etienne, thank you for your comment.
Yeah. So that's great. So I think we can now, it's always nice, I think, if people let us know where you're from. So feel free to comment. In general, if you have any questions in between, just, you can just leave a comment, and then we'll try to answer them as good as possible. But now to dive into what we have been developing lately. One very important aspect is what we've been working on is smooth and easy onboarding. We really made a big effort in making it even easier to start with developing VIKTOR. And also in the last quarterly update, we already shared a few things, but we have been developing more stuff last quarter. And new things are the starter guide. So we made a big improvement on our starter guide. Another thing is that we have an Excel converter fully built in our product now, so that you can easily convert an Excel sheet to a VIKTOR app. And that's something that we also teased the last update, but now this is actually fully in the product, and that's app templates. So I will now show what these things encompass. So this is the first thing. So this is the starter guide that you see here. So once you go through the onboarding process of VIKTOR, which you can just do via our website, we have a free version that you can use. Then once you go through the installation, then you end up here. And I already did a few things up front. But here you can see that we offer this starter guide, and this starter guide helps you to understand really the basics of our platform. And what's very important, and I think that's good to show, is what a very important factor is. At this moment, we are in what we call the editor, where you can have inputs and outputs. So how does this work? So starter guide shows you how to add input fields. So I will immediately show this, how this actually works. So what you see over here, you see this is where it starts. And what I can do now is that if I just add an input field, here on the right-hand side in the code, you can see that immediately. If I go back to the editor and I refresh the page, that you see that this input field is now added to the app. So this is a very important factor. So as you can see, with just a single line of code, I add a parameter, and then I will not go through the starter guide completely, but here you can see that you can add more input parameters and then add a visualization as well. So I will just go through it now a bit quickly. This is something that you can do, of course, very easily yourself as well. But what you end up with is this. I'll just copy paste the last step. And if I now refresh the app, and I didn't make any mistakes, and then is what you will see over here is that you have your first example of a working app. So you have some input parameters that you can change. And you can see also here in the output, you see the results. So in this case, it's just a very simple calculation, but you see that the input has an effect on the output. And if we now look at the code, you see that these input parameters are just some lines of code. And here you can see the logic. And this is everything there is basically to have this first basic app. And some things that we have been doing, which are new lately, is that it's now possible to import VIKTOR with just one single import. This was previously not possible to do it like this, but you can just import VIKTOR as a single import and then use it everywhere. So that makes it easier. And also we had some extra things that needed to be defined, but we removed those kind of things or made them optional. And because of that, it's even easier and cleaner than it was before. So that's the first thing that we did. Then the next thing is the Excel converter. So let me just show you where you can find that. If you go to the App Store, this is basically once you have onboarded yourself and you know the basics, then you can start with creating your own app. And this is something where you can have different options. So one thing is that you can just start with a blank app. So that's something that I just showed, right? You just start from scratch, basically. But what's also possible, let's take the case that you have an Excel sheet, for example, with your logic, and you want to turn that into a VIKTOR app. Well, why would you like to do that? What we often see, why customers often do this, is that it's a way that you can distribute it in a better controlled way, basically. So you can make sure that everybody works with the last version. You don't have Excel sheets going around. You just have one single app. And also you can make sure that, that, for example, sometimes you don't want that people are changing an Excel sheet, for example. You can do that by building a VIKTOR app around it. Next to that, what you often see is that an Excel sheet might be part of a larger workflow, that you have some calculation in Excel and some results out of that you turn into another calculation, etc. So that's why we often see that Excel sheets are used in our platform. And how this basically works is that you need to prepare your Excel sheet in a certain way. So this is an example of that. You can just download the template, so that makes it really easy to see how this works. And basically, what you need to do is that you need to add an input sheet where you define the input parameters, and an output sheet in which you define the output parameters. And then based on that, you can just upload your sheet. So I will now just use, for demo purposes, the provided example. And then you can immediately create an app, run it, and then it generates the code. So what it basically does, you have the input defined in Python, but then you connect it to the Excel sheet. So the Excel sheet is running on the background. And what the result is in this case is this app. So what you see over here is that you can change the parameters. On the background, it's just the Excel sheet, which is actually running with the logic. And then you can see here on the right-hand side that these numbers are updating. And also you see that you can also include all kinds of graphs. So that's, of course, often the situation that you don't have only values as output, but also some graphs. And we also make that easy that you can have all kinds of graphs available as well. This is also quite nice. These are these interactive graphs that we support as well. And what you can then do is also just download the sheet basically with all the numbers filled in. So you can always check it in Excel. So that's the first development that we did.
And Stijn, just quickly for the viewers.
Yeah.
We saw no code here, right?
Yeah, indeed.
So full no code.
Yeah. So that's indeed really nice. You can do this fully without seeing any Python. We do often also see that you could extend it in some way, and that the Python people sort of sometimes get triggered by the Python virus when they start using it. But indeed, you can do this fully without seeing any code. All right. Then the next one, and we already saw it here, those are the templates. So another option to start with is from a template. And what you can see here is that we have all kinds of templates available that you can use and start with, basically. To give an example, this is, for example, quite a nice app we recently added. What you can see here is that first you can just check out the app. So if you look at, if you just open the demo, you see this app. So this is, I think, quite nice to show, but also because also here we added some new features which we presented last time. But what you can do over here, you just have this parametric building, and then you can add some loads, for example. So I can just click on this geometry, and let's say that I would like to add a load here as well. Maybe I would like to apply it in the Y direction. And then in the next step, in this case, you can run in this case, we use OpenSeas this is a Python package. So in this case, it's not connected to, let's say, a desktop finite element package, but just a Python package for structural analysis. And what you can see over here is that you see this nicely deformed shape. Okay, so, and this is, you can see it's quite a simple app. So we really see this as a template that you can continue with. So if you think, okay, this is an interesting app that I like to use, then you have just a link to the repository. So all the code is just available. So you can see here on our GitHub page, we just have all the code with which you can see how this app is set up. In the app.py, usually most of the logic is available. And if you then select this template, then you can create the app, and basically it immediately creates the app and it loads the app into your development workspace. And once you go through that steps, then you can start adapting the app to your own needs. So it's just a few clicks and then it's in your development workspace.
Great. And these apps, you have them in your development workspace.
Yeah.
That's obviously a great starting point
Yeah.
for anyone who wants to get started with, for example, OpenSeas.
Yeah.
But what if there's not a template that is to my liking? Is there somewhere that I can express my interest in a certain app?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think that's indeed a very good question. First of all, we are continuously extending these templates. So if you would like to see any template added, please let us know. You can do it now, actually, in the chat if you would like to. I see a question, I think.
Yes, this is about the Excel converter, so we'll get back to that in a second.
Oh yeah, because I was a bit triggered by ETABS, but let's leave that then for a second. So please let us know if you would like to see any templates added. Then let us know, and we will do our best to add this. So you can we will make sure that this template library is continuously growing. Also, if you have an app, for example, have developed an app and you think, okay, that would be really logical to put it in the template gallery, also let us know, because that's something that we're open for as well, of course.
All right, great. Then let's go to the question.
Yeah.
So here from YouTube, can you use the Excel converter and then connect the app to a FEM package like ETABS?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and why I was triggered already is that something that we are working on at this moment. We are developing a template app for ETABS, it's already possible to integrate ETABS. It has been done already by some customers, but it's something that we will explain with a template app and in our documentation in the near future, how you can set this up. And I wonder a bit if exactly what's the case, if it's about that you from Excel connect to ETABS. That's something that I think we need to dive into a bit. So it's a bit difficult to get from the question how it's exactly set up. But it's definitely, ETABS integration is definitely possible. And also, it should be definitely possible to do this via Excel as well.
Great, thank you.
All right. Cool. So let's go back to the presentation. Yeah, so those were the things that we did in, let's say, the theme of smooth and easy onboarding. Other highlights that we have been working on last quarter. We picked a few to show. We did quite some updates, but the highlights that we would like to show are 4 new features. So one is the streamlined API calculations. Another one is the Grasshopper nodes, the workspace usage dashboard, and the table view. So I will just also dive into these ones via the demo. So to start with, the streamlined API calculations. So basically, what we have available, and this is something that has been released already a bit some time ago, is an API. So with our API, you can basically everything that you can do in the interface, you can also do via in an automated way via the API, and this makes it possible to connect any software packages to your VIKTOR app as well. So you can pull information, push information. Last update, we shown how you can connect Revit to VIKTOR. We will show something really nice which has been developed afterwards on that in a second. But what's also possible, and that's something that a lot of our developers ask for as well, is okay, how can I connect multiple apps together? And that's something that we did some really nice improvements on. So let's start with an example. What we often see is that, for example, we see often there are some simple apps available in VIKTOR. So for example, this is an app with which you can do quite a simple beam calculation. So you can just change the length, and then in this case, there's just a calculation being done on the bending moments, displacements, etc. And you can see here some results. And if you then maybe have a bit of a bigger profile, you can see that that you can and design this to a certain unity check, which should be below 1. Well, this is typically something that we see as a building block. So this is an app that you can use as it is. Well, this is a bit of a simplified version, but you can imagine this is typically something like conversion for an Excel sheet where you just have a simple calculator. But often what we see is that the next step is that you combine these kind of apps in another bigger workflow. So let's say that you need to design a steel structure, then basically this calculation can be part of that bigger workflow. And so how this now looks like, so let's say that you would like to use this app in another app. How can you do that? So that's something that I will show right now. I will go back to the Python code. So let's go back to my development workspace, because this is an app which is now development. I also in the meantime made it through the steps. So what you can see, so let's take the example. So I have the this app, just the simple beam app, and let's say that, for example, I would like to see, okay, if I change the length and I try all kinds of different lengths, what's the impact on the unity check? So that's the app that I've developed here, where you can say, okay, I have a minimum length, I have a maximum length, and I have a certain step size in which I go through it. And what I then want to do is basically call the other app to do this calculation. So how this looks like in the code, how you can do that. Well, basically over here you can see just the input parameters that I have defined. And what I can then do here is I can basically refer to a specific entity. So in this case, I have this entity. This is just an ID that I refer to. So this is basically just the app that you see over here. You can see here these IDs of the workspace and the entity, and then the only thing that basically this is the place where the magic happens. What I can call here is just by a compute method, we can call a certain view. In this case, the results, because there's the unity check. And basically what I put in is the input parameters that I want. So in this case, I just hard-coded the load and the profile, but the length is something that I loop over. So you see that I created a for loop here, where I go through from the minimum to the maximum in a certain step size. And then I get the results back. I just fetch the unity check out of the table that I get back, and then I append it in a list. And then basically I send that back using the table view. So that's the other feature that we have developed. So let's first check how this looks like when I run it. This is the exciting moment. If this is still working. So at the moment, it's now calling the other app. So this is now what you see. The result over here is that you can see that all these, so it now has run the other app 14 times. And basically, it just calculated for different lengths, it gave back the unity check. In this case, you can see that if it goes over 12 meters, then it's not sufficiently strong anymore with the current setup. So this is how you can really easily connect apps together by just using the compute method. We will share a link, I think, in the chat later, where you can find this in our documentation. But yeah, hopefully it's clear that in this way you can just very easily connect several apps together. And then the other thing, and I think you already saw it, is the table view. So this is something that we also released lately, and that's it was already possible in some way to show some tables in VIKTOR, but we now made that a lot simpler. So we just have the table view, and as you can see, this is how it then looks like. You have all kinds of things out of the box, so you can easily sort it. And for example, also download it as a CSV. So this is just working out of the box. There are quite some nice possibilities with the table view, which you can then find in our docs. So at results and visualizations, you see that it has been added here. And for example, there are also ways to use editing that based on a number, certain cells are colored. We have quite some nice possibilities. Something, of course, which a lot of people use in Python is pandas. Maybe already some people were thinking about this. And that's also what we support. So if you have a pandas data frame, you can just immediately send it back in the table results, and it just renders the pandas data frame. So those were the simpler compute and the table view. Shall I just continue to the next topic? All right. So the next one is the Grasshopper nodes. So what we already have made available some time ago is an integration with Grasshopper. And in that case, it's basically that you call a Grasshopper script from VIKTOR. So that's basically this way. This is a sample app. In this case, what you see over here is you have some input parameters, and then you can run a Grasshopper model, and it shows the results back in the visualization. It's not taking a little bit of time because I'm probably also streaming and everything. But I think, the example is quite clear. So this was something that was already available. However, what we also got questions about, okay, what about the other way around? What about if from Grasshopper, I actually want to call a VIKTOR app? Well, so that's what you can see over here. And this is actually also using the API. So shortly, in a few weeks, we will post about this and explain this in more detail. But what you see over here is just a Grasshopper node that we have created. And in this case, it's connected to a specific app. So that's in this case, this app. And what you see over here is that it basically pulls the data from this entity. So you see that all these parameters are pulled from the app. So what does this mean is that when I now change a parameter, so you can see here this bridge. Let's say that I make the deck width 50 meters. I save the parameters. And then when I now recompute the model, you immediately see that it fetches the parameter. And then based on that, so this is a very simple example. You just draw a box. But as you can see, you can just really easily use this data in your Grasshopper model. So this is something that's possible since we have the API available. And this is something that we will document and show in more detail. Another really nice example of what you can do with this, that also might be something that maybe some people are already thinking about. Okay, can I also run a calculation? So that's the other example. And this is actually, what you see over here is that I'm using the same beam analysis app that I showed earlier. So that's again this simple beam. And since you can also call the compute event just in a Grasshopper script. So what you see over here is that it's basically just the same code as I just showed. I use here as well. I have a bit of more extra code to save the token that you need, because it works basically with an API token. And the result is, which is I think really nice, is that you can, when you now change a parameter, you can see that it actually runs the VIKTOR code. Well, it changed really rapidly, but it basically just uses this app to calculate the output. So it should be the same thing if I also change the load here to 8 and 13. I hard-coded another profile. That's of course, as you can see here, the result is 2.22, and it's here the same result as well. So this is something I think which is really powerful, because in this way you can have quite an extensive app available, and then really easily call it in your Grasshopper model, and then also you can use it in different Grasshopper models while having just one central app available.
Nice. Quick question from me.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, does this mean that now the Grasshopper user and the VIKTOR app user can be working in the same workflow without both needing to be in the app and both needing to be in Grasshopper?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very good point. So that's exactly what we also often see with people using these kind of things. That's exactly that. So let's say, for example, an architect is working in Grasshopper to design a building. And what you can then do is, for example, that you then push information to VIKTOR, and maybe a structural engineer continues there in the VIKTOR app, and then maybe you pull some information back. So I think there are a lot of workflows possible, but this really enables this kind of hybrid workflow between Grasshopper and VIKTOR. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we are very interested to see what kind of things will be built using these things. So stay tuned, and we will definitely show a lot of documentation around this in the near future. All right, then we have two things left. So I think also time-wise that's going quite well. One thing is the let me just find it. It's something different. It's mainly focused on tracking how your app is being used. So that's something. Of course, you share an app, you publish it, and then you would like to see, of course, okay, how much is it used? And for that, we also did some new developments to give, let's say, for example, product owners or of apps of developers insight in the usage. So what you can see over here, this is a dashboard which is available in a workspace. And what you see over here is that you see the total users which have access to the workspace. You see the monthly active users on this workspace, and you see the daily login. So that's basically how much it's used. So you can change the filters, of course. And what's really nice is that you can also set targets. So for example, you could say, okay, my expected amount of this, I expect to have around 10 monthly active users, and the usage I expect is 20. And then in this way, it's often that we see that you make some kind of business case for an app where you say, okay, we think that this app will be used this much and this much. And in this way, you can easily put that into this dashboard, so you can also track if the usage is as much as you have expected. Next to this, you can also easily see which users have used it, how much, and when they last visited. So these kind of things are new, basically to give more insights for developers and product owners to make sure that they know who's using the app and how much. All right, and then the last thing that we wanted to show, that's not really a new feature, but merely some inspiration. So within VIKTOR, we offer a geometry module, and with which you can do quite a lot of stuff. But what's also really nice is that you also have really strong other CAD kernels. So basically, it's sort of a Python package that you can use to draw 3D models. And in this case, we made an example of CAD query. And CAD query is a really nice Python package. And with this, you can make also these kind of models. So what you see, this is just fully parametric. So if I change parameter, then you will see that this updates, and it gives a lot of possibilities. This is of course quite a simple model, but you can create all kinds of fillets and edges and those kind of things. So the typical things that you do in a CAD program, you can do with this package as well. And what's, for example, also really nice is that it also offers the possibility that you generate these kind of drawings. Well, also here, if I change this parameter, you immediately see also that these kind of images or drawings are being changed. So maybe I chose something that doesn't work. Well, as you can see over here, then this automatically updates. This app is also available in our gallery of template apps. So if you go, let's just go back there. If you go to the templates, then you will see this CAD query app available, and then you can find the code here as well. And as you can see, that this app code is just basically, this is all the code there is to generate this model. So as you can see, it's very little, so you can really easily make these kind of things. So that's something that's I think very interesting to check out and to use. All right. So that was quite a mouthful.
But, quite a lot of new information for the viewers.
Yeah.
If you really like this kind of stuff, in 2 weeks we actually have an automation expert coming to our webinar. His name is Thomas Jensen. Maybe some of you heard of him. He worked on quite some big projects, including the Fehmarn Belt Tunnel, if I say that correctly.
Yeah.
So if you like this kind of stuff, hope to see you then on September the 26th. That's a Thursday, same time. And thank you, Stijn, for all this tech talk.
Yeah.
If you would like to try out VIKTOR, you can head over to viktor.ai, and hope to see you very soon again.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.